If you have been trying to manifest something for a long time and you have not been very successful at it, you may want to watch this whole video today because I think I'm going to share some things that have been clarified inside of me for quite a while now. And I know that manifesting has been a real thing for actually many years, where people, all of us, are beginning to realize that we are co-creators. We can manifest and create what we want. We are not just at the whim of life anymore. And I think that is absolutely wonderful. It feels like we are moving from one dimension into the new, where we're not victims. Very powerful step, very powerful transition we're going through. And in that transition, we have been learning to manifest. We have been actively trying to create from our mind first. There was like the affirmations and um, confirmations, prayers, all in the mind. And then it moved into, you have to really feel it. It's not just up here. People may manifest from up there and create healings and changes. And I think that actually did happen for a while, and it may still happen a little bit for others today. But that was another phase where it became a mental manifestation. And then it moved into we have to feel it. You have to feel that it's already here. You have to give thanks for it being here. You have to imagine that you're already living it. So it's kind of you're projecting yourself out into the future as your future self. And you start living as if that is already here now. And a ton of transformation is happening. I used to go to Dr. Joe Dispenza's workshops, 5 or 7 day long workshops. And it was just amazing what happened to people. Unbelievable. And that was because they were really beginning to embody it, and not just from here, but just living as if it's already here. So that was about a very important step also. And yet, there are still many people who have not been very successful at that. So there can be a lot of frustration with that because you think you're doing the right thing, you're meditating, you're imagining, you're feeling it, and nothing happens. Can be very frustrating, right? Maybe you're one of them. And I want to just talk a little bit about this whole thing about manifesting. It's like the word implies that we are the ones manifesting by our efforts. And in a way, it's leaving the whole of creation out of it, the creator, the the part of the universe that is already here. And I want to also just say that there are certainly many teachings right now where it's really experiencing that what we want is already in the field. So we need to connect with it and then kind of, invite it into our lives. There are many, many different flavors of manifesting. And what I want to add to that is that maybe manifesting, maybe that is the new way. And of course, this is something I have been practicing or being present with because of the teachings of Joel Goldsmith, where there's nobody trying to make anything happen. It's really just learning to relax and feel the truth of the fact that the divine is already here. There's nothing separate from the divine. The divine is omniscience, it knows everything. Omnipotent, can do anything. And omnipresent is everywhere. So, with the teachings of Joel, it's been very much about learning to rest in that and rest in that and trust it and trust it and learning to let go of the middleman or woman who is trying to make something happen. And I think that might be a challenging transition for most of us who have been learning that we're the doers, we're the co-creators. But in that whole realm, there is still like a co-creator, there's still a separate sense of self who's doing something, who needs to do something and create with God. It's like Santa's little helper, right? And it's also very beautiful. I think all these steps are very essential for our evolutionary process, where we are able to embrace and allow and accept and believe the next little step. Most of us can't just go from being a victim to being a fully divine creation where nothing is missing. There's all these steps that we go through. So I welcome every single one of them. And what I have noticed, because I was never very good at the manifesting part, because I had a huge block towards receiving. So even though I could feel it and I could be it and I could be grateful for it, I really had to work through this block, that almost like that there was an outside God who was going to give it to me or not give it to me. I have talked about this here on my YouTubes, like a withholding God, a rewarding God, a giving God. So it's kind of an outside entity that's either going to give it to you or not. And the harder we pray, the harder we try and manifest, the more we become separate from God. And again, for some people, it really works, but it's still a creation as a separate entity from God. Not everyone. I know there are people out there who are doing it like whoosh, just open channels. But that's what I want to just add to the mix today, because what really started shifting for me as a letting go deeper, relaxing more, so that the portal of the divine coming through in its fullness could expand, so that I have a bigger capacity to allow it through instead of keeping it out. Remember Rumi, right? What does he say? Your task is not to seek for love or seek for things or seek for abundance, but your task is merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. This so applies to manifesting. And we need to just keep meeting these barriers that we have all built against the abundance, the fullness of infinity and its expression. So that is the work we do. And that is the work that I have been doing. And it's been, in a way, a very slow process, because I had a pretty intense resistance to receiving after I had my big bang awakening back in Denmark many, many years ago. It really kind of shut me down. It's like, ooh, I don't think I want to go there again, because it was such an opening that happened. And then it was such an intense closure, and I could barely handle to ever open up again, because the contrast was just unbearable. So I understand that, and I had a lot of compassion for that, but there was still something like, it was just there, you know. You may have similar things that you can just start looking at what might be getting in your way, to just relax back and allow the flow, allow the flow. Now, what has helped me tremendously is the longing. When that was shown to me years ago, and then again several months ago, in a very specific, deep, real way, I'm not trying to manifest anything. I am just going to the longing and feeling the longing the sweetness of the longing. And in that, I don't need to be specific about it, but I might be specific about it, but only because it is here. There is a longing for something. It may just be for fully experiencing the divine, fully experiencing love, being able to fully rest and relax and just go with the flow and allow everything just to come to me, come to you. And so it depends on what lives in here, in your longing, in your heart. The blocks and the barriers around that, they need to be seen. So when we start just allowing ourselves to feel what we long for, what life would we like to live? Because there is a reason we're here. You know, we didn't come here to be hardworking all the time and super busy and trying and efforting and failing and having a hard time and losing and being unhappy and thinking we can only experience things by really working hard and, you know, turning ourselves into a pretzel in order for people maybe to love us. All that stuff, that is the matrix. And we have been fooled in a very, very deep way to believe that everything we long for is not already here. And that is why we keep leaving the longing, because we have been fooled. We have been told that, no, you don't deserve it. You have to work for it. That kid's pie in the sky. Whatever your flavor is, that has been projected onto us and kind of closed the flow because we have accepted it. So I talked the other day about it's like these energies are being projected as a suggestion, right? There's these hypnotic suggestions that are being projected onto us into our mind. And because we accept them, we close the door to the flow. We build barriers against it, like Rumi says. So the first line of defense is to just realize that these are hypnotic suggestions and projections that are coming to us, all this negativity, and that it's not spiritual to want anything. It's all BS. There is a flavor of it that we can talk about another time that may make it so, but I'm not going to go into that now. I really want to emphasize that these projections are not true. It's the matrix, and the matrix is happening in the mind. The mind has it believes it's separate from the flow, from the everything, from the good, from love. And that's why as long as we run it through here, we think we need to do something to get into the flow. Well, there's one thing we need to do, and that is to stop engaging with that, to stop accepting it, and that's the work, and then drop into the heart where the longing for a beautiful life is. Beautiful, loving, harmonious, perfect, peaceful. That is what most of us are longing for these days, those of us who are on the journey back home. This is not a mistake. The mistake is that we have accepted these projections of the opposite, that we don't deserve it. All that nonsense. So if you can find it in your heart, what you long for, and really go and hang out there, then there's no outside God who's going to either deny it to you or only give it to you if you're very spiritual and you pray and if you help others and if you put yourself last, all that blah, blah, blah. But if you go straight to the longing, there's no middleman or no middle God. You are that. You are that energy. It is omnipresent. It is one. It's not somebody giving it to you. It is who you are. And that oneness comes as your expression. And then it comes, the expression has a feeling that to us feels like a longing for something, right? And we talked about, instead of going here, we go there and think we need to go out there and get it. It's like, no, we stay here. We stay here and feel the longing. The more you can feel the longing and the sweetness thereof, it's amazing. It really is. It feels to me, I'm just like, it's getting easier every day to just keep living in the longing, whatever it is, living in the longing. And I kind of walk around with a smile on my face when I'm here. And, it feels like I'm simply in the portal, and the divine, which is everything good and wonderful and loving and peaceful, I'm just opening up to it. And I don't need to do anything. If it comes through as a longing for something, I just stay with a longing for something. And I say, thank you, because I know it's on the way. This is how the divine speaks to us, through the longing. There's probably many other ways. This is one of them. So the more we can stay in the longing, welcoming it, saying yes to it, and kind of really feel it. It's not up here. Feel the longing. And if you keep doing that day after day, and you will remember it more and more, like, don't start your day without just feeling like, okay, so what is my heart longing for today? Like, oh, I want an easy day. I want, you name it. It's going to be different for all of us. And you just stay with that. You just breathe into it. Open up to it. And then you walk like that during your day. So there's not a hardcore manifesting. There is a sweet resting back, and enjoy that sweetness, the feeling of longing, and then see what happens. So maybe this will inspire you. If you have been giving up on manifesting, give this a try and see what it feels like. Not so much what's happening out there. That will happen on its own accord. But what does it feel like if you give yourself permission to just feel this sweet longing? Please like, subscribe, and comment below. I would love to hear how that works for you, how your experience is, if it changes anything in your whole energetic expression when you just hang out in the longing.